when it comes to what I would change, I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong, because there's best practices on things. Mm-hmm. So I'd have done something differently. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was wrong.
No, that was a big moment, because I remember that and I was like, "Ooh, we all here." There's a lot of people, but it was a powerful moment. I think for all of us, but especially I think as a leader, it had to be.
No doubt.
Awesome. Okay, next question for Coach Nazir, as I'm interviewing him. Woo. What is the legacy you want to leave for your children? I think you spoke on that a little bit, and especially your grandchildren and the generations to come. What is the legacy? What is the vision?
That's vague, because it depends on what type and what you want. Mm-hmm. First and only thing that's the most important thing is there's no success trading this life for the next. So ultimately, it's that we return to the haqq, the truth of Islam, and that they hold on to that no matter what else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whether or not they remember where it's from or came from me or not, it doesn't came from me making a decision to become Muslim. From that aspect, clearly it's from Allah Ta'ala's Messenger, salam. But that will be the main thing, returning to who you are and getting rid of the other challenge which keeps people distracted and able to live fully, which is making sure you understand what money is, what is not, what fiat is and what is not, and how to earn it so that it's passive and it doesn't stop you up from chasing and living your dreams and living a fulfilling life, no matter where in the world, at whatever times. You have that tool as a resource for you to help you manifest what you really desire in life.
Next question would be, what is some of the most beneficial advice that you would give to men who want to enter polygyny?
Some of the most beneficial advice I'll give them is to become more than twice the man by working on, one, getting your financial intelligence up so you have things in place so far as passive income, because having a job is really not going to get it. That's not going to fund much of anybody's lifestyle in general. Two, is increasing your emotional intelligence to be able to deal with the different dynamics that you're going to have to deal with women. We know that we have this strong desire and everything for women, but we know the Prophet ﷺ also let us know that he's left us with nothing with more fitna or trials and tribulations and challenges in it than women. So look at that. So you have to definitely increase your emotional maturity. So your financial, your emotional, then of course your mental. And with all of these things under those umbrellas are so much. So, when it comes to communication or, communicating, when it comes to your leadership, which really kind of is a separate category, but that's high on the list. So really those 4 pillars, more than anything, is to work on that, even if you don't intend to practice polygyny, but work on that as a man to become that much more attractive. And should you ever decide to, you already are attracting the type of people that are with it and they're willing to follow your leadership easily. So those would be the 4 things. So 1, increasing your financial acumen, your emotional intelligence, your mental, and of course your leadership.
It's powerful stuff. I love this interview because it's from the perspective of not just men and husbands, but it's that leadership role, and I love that we speak about that. That's a hat that many of our husbands wear. And it's not easy, but that role is so important. It's for husbands and fathers. Alhamdulillah. Okay. All right. This is another one, and you can kind of tell which ones the wives have asked. you know, and which ones are kind of picking around with. But this is one of the wives that asked specifically, if you could go back in time and change one thing you did wrong in polygyny in the past, what would it be? And again, this is Coach Nazir's perspective on his life and how he's lived it.
Say the question again.
Says, if you could go back in time and change one thing you did wrong, or, you know, one thing that you did wrong in polygyny in the past, what would it be?
Well, when it comes to what I would change, I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong, because there's best practices on things. Mm-hmm. So I'd have done something differently. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was wrong.
Girl, what's wrong with you?
Girl, polygamy. I'm hearing it everywhere. Polygamy this, polygamy that. Men want to be married to more than one wife. I'm sick of hearing it. Who want to be dealing with something like that anyway?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
What?
Well, I mean, if it's done right.
Who's doing polygamy right? Where can you even find how to do polygamy right anyway? What was that?
I heard that too.
What is this?
Wait a minute.
Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored?
The practical no-nonsense guide to practicing polygamy right?
You heard that right. And if you want to get your copy shipped to your door, make sure you go to letstalkpolygamy.com so you can learn how to practice polygyny properly. That would be to talk prior to the idea of polygyny. I would have talked way prior to it. We'd have had a conversation a long time ago when you were in my journal looking at one of my goals that had for a beautiful
that was
wife.
open.
Yeah. Hey, this is my answer.
Right.
Slow down.
Right. He's right though.
But we should have had a conversation after that point in time to discuss it more, so that we were on the same page and can address different challenges, stuff like that, should the opportunity have presented itself, which it eventually did. But that would have been best.
I'm so glad he brought that up, because that's what happened. He left his journal on my dresser open, and I was like, "Oh, two virtuous wives. Come on now, we're gonna have
two." They only said two.
It said two.
Should have had four.
It didn't have four that day.
It was four on A&P album. That's what it was.
Maybe there it is. What is that? What is the A&P album?
That's not part of the question.
They like, wait a minute, because they get on the phone and in my DMs going, "What's that?" I'll let the brother tell you another day. That's for another video. But and that's been asked, and I would agree 100% with that, because what I did was waited. I'm like, well, he'll let me know. I don't have to like bring it up. He'll tell me, you know. And it's not like, what do we need from the store type conversation. This is something, if I could just add something to the end of this interview, I think it's something that women and men need to allow themselves the permission to do, is have that conversation about polygyny right away. Because then the husband doesn't have to guess if it's okay to talk about, if you're going to be receiving that conversation from him. And I think it's okay for women to understand that they can initiate that conversation, and it really lessens so much stress from the marriage, especially when you're Muslim like we are. We're practicing Muslims. I think it would have took some weight off of both of our shoulders, because I didn't bring it up because I'm like, I'll be overstepping. And then he didn't bring it up for obvious reasons, because it's like, I bring it up and then I got to hear her mouth, because I didn't want to share my husband. I was 20 years old. Right.
Polygamy in Islam book, Bilal Phillips.
Among many other books.
Not dealing with polygyny.
But not dealing with polygyny, but we had a library in our house. Right. So I would encourage people to have a library in the home that deals with all types of things, personal development. You know, for us as Muslims, Islamic books, polygyny books. It's so important to have those things so that we can normalize these conversations, you know, right. Because society will be like, don't talk about it, just leave it alone, right?
Right, it's gonna go away.
It's good, and that is the society that I grew up in, and the community that we both grew up in. Just kind of just leave it. And the leadership, we won't deal with that.
Like them chest pains, let's just ignore it. It's all right.
Just ignore it, and it's not best practices for best results. The best thing to do is, like Coach Nazir said, is have that conversation early, get out the way, and then keep having continuous conversations as things change. Because as we're married, things change and people are allowed to change their minds. So let's be mindful of that. So I want to thank you for
Well, thank you, Coach Fatimah. It's been a pleasure to be here.
sitting with me, and I'll see you at home. But I enjoyed this. I'm so glad that you all asked for his perspective specifically, because each man is different and they make different decisions and different choices for their family, for their wife, for their wives, for their children. So yes, I thank him for his time. He's always booked and busy. So
join us in the community. That's where we at.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're not part of the private OPR community, then definitely hit on that community tab on our website or in the description to join us, because that's where we have these conversations deeper. We go back and forth and so on. And there's a whole lot more stuff than what we put on social media. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. And it's a safe space, right?
Indeed, it's anti-troll as ever.
It's an anti-troll space, and we have some for the kings and the queens, and it's really great. So yes.
Indeed, our bovine excrement meter is very short. So none of that here. Anyway, so we're going to end with GLC. What are we going to do?
Okay, ready?
You do the first two.
Make sure that you're growing intentionally, loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Peace.